We put over 1.5 million executives through our programs.
You guys need to communicate better.
Worked with thousands of companies.
We're going to teach you our skills that we use in the cockpit and in special forces regimes to help you execute at a higher level at your organization.
In the same exact position that you find yourselves today.
All right, let's do it. Come on, Ivan.
I'm Jim Murphy, Murph. I'm the founder and CEO of Afterburner. And as a leader of a multi-million-dollar company, I know you're facing some tough challenges right now. For more than 20 years, Afterburner has worked with top executives in major corporations from across the globe, and they all tell us the same thing. The business environment today is changing by the hour. Models that used to bring consistent ROI no longer work. Now the atmosphere is what we in the military call VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. We're a group of former elite military professionals turned business consultants and speakers. Our job is to come into your meeting and inspire and motivate your group towards a higher level, a level that we call flawless execution.
So how do you and I execute flawlessly in a rapidly changing, challenging, and complex environment?
We give you new models, new paradigms that truly can be game changers for your organization. Mission success depends on two things: inspired alignment and disciplined execution. We can teach your teams both.
Now, the model was born and bred in the high-stakes, zero-tolerance for error world of combat aviation and elite military teams. This is the engine that's going to drive your daily, weekly, or monthly activities towards that high-definition destination.
Plan, brief, execute, debrief, and you will win.
Because today, we're no longer going to talk about being fighter pilots. We're no longer going to talk about military scenarios. We took off the flight suits. We put on some business attire. We're going to talk about applying this process to create plans that you can take action with today.
Some of the country's top universities like Harvard, MIT, UNC, and Vanderbilt have tapped our expertise. It's not about limiting ourselves or you to a military-based model. It's about expanding that model to apply it to your world, your concerns, and getting you to your high-definition destination.
We don't just get you thinking. We get you moving with our high-energy, high-impact programs.
Whether you want a high-energy one-hour keynote or a half-day team-building seminar for up to 2,000 people, we have the products and services for you. We're going to bring excitement to your meeting. We've worked with Fortune 500 and Global 2000 companies for decades, giving their teams the tools they need to stay at the top of their market and at the top of their game. We've turned around performance from the C-suite to the people right on the front lines. We've even helped a dozen NFL teams get their games aligned, including the New York Giants, who credited Afterburner's techniques with helping them turn their team around to win the 2012 Super Bowl.
Afterburner, thanks for all your help in making us world champions.
As you can see, our flawless execution model works for them, and it can work for your team as well. Now that you've learned a little bit about us, we'd like to give you a more in-depth look at the Afterburner experience.
We do team building exercises at Afterburner where we teach people how to debrief, but in order to do that, we have to have them make errors. So we have fun with them. We put them through this mission planning simulation where they use maps and they have to draw lines on the maps and they go after a fictitious competitor, but they're in teams of 15 and one person's in charge, but everybody on that team of 15 has a specific role. And we only give them an hour to get through the mission. And we task saturate them by doing simulated scud attacks where sirens go off and they have to dive under the tables.
All personnel, take cover!
All groups, take cover. Under the tables, take cover.
And then we tell them, you only have 15 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go, so task saturation increases as their heightened awareness of not getting everything done on time, just like business, actually, if you think about it.
As Air Force fighter pilots, we like to keep things simple. At the end of the day, my number of takeoffs need to equal my number of landings. It's a simple goal, right? But if they don't, it probably means I've had to eject from my aircraft and ride a silk parachute back down to Mother Earth. Silk's a good word. Group, spell silk. S-I-L-K. Very nice. Group, what does a cow drink? M-I-L-K. Hey, honest feedback, that was not very good, all right? Now, I'm at an advantage here because I grew up in Texas, and we grow up knowing that cows, they drink water and they give milk. All right, that's your mulligan. Everybody can have a seat.
The better we are at doing the standard things, the more time we have to be creative and focus on opportunities that allow us to grow our business and identify risks before they impact our business.
Now, we found, after working with thousands of business leaders all over the world at Afterburner, as task saturation increases, your performance decreases. As task saturation increases, your errors increase. Now, in the business world, we've created this culture, right, that we're proud of our task saturation. We wear it like a badge of honor, don't we? Hey, look at me, boss. I'm juggling 15 things and I'm barely treading water. Aren't I doing awesome? Or look at our organization. We just lost an engine. We're on fire. Now we're descending towards the ground through the clouds. Oh, aren't we doing great? But the reality is, when you're spinning those 15 plates, what you don't see, some of those plates are starting to wobble. But you don't see it because you're task saturated. Now, we call task saturation the silent killer. Why? Because its onset is slow, insidious, and very dangerous.
The video that I'm going to show you involves 3 highly trained, very experienced cockpit crew members who become channelized on the flight deck of a large commercial airliner, and the end result was a tragedy. This video is produced by the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, and the gentlemen that you're going to see are actual NTSB investigators who are recreating the actions and the movements of the ill-fated crew. But the audio that you're going to hear, everything from the bells and whistles, beeps and squeaks of the cockpit environment to the actual conversation among the crew members, is taken directly from the cockpit voice recorder, the black box of the mishap aircraft.
Who can call for a debriefing in your organization? Who ought to be? In a culture of debriefing, who ought to be able to call for a debriefing? Anybody. Anybody. And that's what we've got to create, is that this debriefing isn't some super special thing that people, it's a way we live, it's a way we do business.
But if you really want you to get down to what's going on in your area of responsibility on your team, we have to take you out of the equation. You're the problem. Don't you want to know what's really going on? Well, why aren't people going to freely admit their errors or maybe their successes in front of you? It's obvious. You hire and fire. You sign people's paychecks. So how do we create a nameless, rankless environment during a short period when we're debriefing a pre-brief plan? How would you do it as a leader? Anybody? You're in front of your team. We're going to set the tone, nameless and rankless. How do we do it? What's the first step? You start every debrief exactly the same way. Inside, outside, take a few daggers, boom, you've set the stage. Everybody will finally believe you down the road, and you'll change the culture if you start every debrief that way.